And the Oscar for Best Picture is presented to...
And the Oscar goes 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 to...
And the Oscar goes...
And the Oscar goes... And the Oscar goes to...
Welcome back to The Better Half. I'm Bradley J. Halverson, and here with me, she's waiting for me to return from war. It's Carly Corio. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Brad. Brad, I can't stress enough how monotone you sounded at the beginning of this. Welcome to The Better Half. Welcome back to The Better Half.
To The Better Half.
Like, I know you're still enjoying this.
Look, when you have a monotone movie, you gotta match its free.
That's what you were doing. Okay, match its free.
Yeah, it was an artistic decision.
Do you have coffee with you today?
I do.
Yay, and you made it at home?
Yeah, I finally went grocery shopping, so
nice.
Anyone who knows me knows I often have an empty kitchen, but this year I have been trying to stockpile.
You went to Acme Smack Me?
I did go to Acme Smack Me, and I got a lot of stuff. And when I put it in the fridge, I still looked at it and I was like, why so empty still? Like, the fridge really gets me. It's like, how do you actually fill a fridge? I don't understand.
Let me tell you, you just welcome in a whole family to your house, and then you will actually, in fact, run out of room in your fridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to do
figured
that.
that
I
out.
thought about it a lot, and I don't want to do that.
What coffee creamer are you using?
I'm using this like Starbucks brand caramel. I think it's like a caramel macchiato.
Oh, I thought you would have used the chestnut praline.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a chestnut praline. I was going to text you about it. I found it at Target last time I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, this is going in the notes for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, Carly, how are you?
I am
How's
good.
life?
This new year has been going so great.
Love the new
like
year.
2026. Can't say enough good things about it. How about you?
No, in this one short month of the new year, it's like, it's going well. And, you know, like the characters in our movies, we do love a new year. Like, we love ringing it in. And,
Totally.
And always excited about the future.
Always. And it only can bring good, happy things, according to this movie.
Well, we are here to talk about Cavalcade, which won Best Original Production at the 6th Academy Awards.
6th.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6th period.
6th period.
Which took place on March 16th, 1934. So if you, the listener, are like, Brad, what the fuck is a cavalcade? I'm here to tell you, as an English major, as a master of words, I did look up the definition.
Me too.
Because I did not know myself.
Me too. And I actually made it a big part of my notes. But we can talk about this now.
You know, most people are familiar with, like, let's say a motorcade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can picture that, a procession of cars all in a line, whatever. And so if you just take the first part of the word caval, think of the cavalry, and it's just a bunch of people on horses. So just replace the cars with people on horses in a long line.
Because
you got a cavalcade.
Caval means horse.
Oh.
No, that was a really good way to explain it. When we first drew this movie last recording, I said, cavalcada, because the word simply does look like cavalcada.
Yeah.
And Brad said cavalcade. So it is in fact cavalcade.
Cavalcade.
I confirmed. But yeah, that was a really good way to put it because I had no idea what cavalcade was, but that's a good way to put the two words together.
Yeah, like if it was a Carlycade, it would just be a long line of Carlys.
A bunch of
walking in a row. A Bradleycade, I think you get the picture. So
I did a little bit of digging on the word as well, and it does. It says a procession of riders, whether it's a battle or a celebration. So yes, going along with your definition.
Okay.
It also said it could also be a series or sequence of events.
Oh.
I know. So it's kind of a play on words
Yeah.
in this movie, I think. And then additionally, Cavalcade was a British news magazine from the 1930s to the 1950s. So again, it could have been trying to spin that into it a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure the Cavalcade publication was not sponsoring this movie, but I do think maybe it was a play on words because it is set in where it is.
Yeah, because and we'll get into it too, but yeah, even after I had watched the film, and Carly and I did watch this one separately, I still didn't make those kind of connections to Cavalcade, and wondering like why did the directed by Frank Lloyd here, why did he call it Cavalcade? Why not call it literally anything else? And so, but before I jump into it, Carly, I would love to hear your short synopsis of this.
Yeah, so Cavalcade is a period drama about the triumphs and tragedies of two English families, the Marriotts and the Bridgeses.
Bridget Joneses.
The Bridget Joneses. The Bridges, because the last name is Bridges. So the Bridges is from 1899 to 1933. So we span a few decades.
Yeah, this movie takes place at the start of the 20th century in 1900. And it's going to go all the way till 1933, which coincidentally is when this movie was released. So we're kind of heading back to our early Better Half podcast days where we're back to England and we're back to old ass London, England. And we're going to be hanging out there for the whole movie. And I want to make a comparison to Around the World in 80 Days a little bit. And I might make several comparisons to Around the World in 80 Days. But that was a movie where like not too much like plot and character development, but the lure of the movie was here are all these wonderful places around the globe, right? And we're going to go there in person and you're going to see all these, you're going to see the world, right? Where this movie, I think, does something similar, but instead of sort of geographical locations, it's about like historical events and they're sprinkled throughout this entire film. And you're kind of seeing these historical events in the ways they impact, I guess, everyday people in London, England, these like two families, one rich, one poor, and how these things happen. So we move through time, but you'll notice like the time periods we go to, some sort of historical events happening. And I think that is sort of the big intrigue of the movie. Like, oh,
yeah,
because it's not even about the historical events themselves. It's not like we're going to get into the nitty gritty of them, but they're going to be referenced. They're going to be in some cases shown, or they're going to just have huge impacts on the characters throughout this film. So
yeah, I can't stress enough how similar to Downton Abbey this is, because you really, I mean, the whole plot of Downton Abbey is you get the family up, living upstairs, and then you get the servants and stuff living downstairs. And the first scene in Downton Abbey is everyone running around talking about, oh my God, did you hear about it? Did you hear about it? And then you learn it's the Titanic. And so that's like how Downton Abbey like starts. And then it really is a time period piece. They like jump years and years, and then you go through all these different wars. They go through like the flu, the Spanish flu, like you see all these big periods in history, and you see this rich family going through it, you see their servants going through it. So for any Downton Abbey people out there, definitely this is similar to that.
Were there any cavalcades in Downton Abbey?
I didn't see any cavalcades, but there are.
Did you see any cavals?
Half a caval at one point, but I don't know if I would count that. But yeah, I would say there were as many cavalcades in Downton Abbey as there were in this film. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to just dive right in, because again, if you're confused by our definition and description of a cavalcade, the movie does provide a nice visual for you here right in the long opening credits so that you can't mistake it. But they have the opening credits and the opening crawl sort of overlaid of this clip of a medieval cavalcade. So you're just seeing a lot of like knights and people on their horses, whatever. And then they're going to use this same 2-minute clip throughout the entire movie. Anytime there is we are transitioning forward in time, right? There's a passage of time. They will show the same clip of this medieval cavalcade. But that is your like visual demonstration. And no, this movie again is not taking place in medieval times. It's just there for fun. But yeah, so where we begin first, again, we're in London, England, and it is New Year's Eve, 1899. And so we kind of get introduced to quite a few characters here. Let's run through them here really quickly. So the rich people we got are Jane and Robert Marriott.
Think Marriott Hotels. They own the hotels.
Yeah.
Spelled differently, but it did help me remember what was the rich family and what wasn't.
Yeah, for some reason I had a hard time, unless they were like in full costume and stuff. I was like, wait, who is that and who is this?
It took me about a third of the movie to distinguish the people from each other. Yeah. And then they like keep getting, we go through time, so they keep introducing new like adult people who you're like, oh, that was this kid. It's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we got Jane and Robert here. They're like coming home from a party. They got this like New Year's tradition where I guess they just like to toast to each other into the future. I don't know. It's kind of common tradition.
Yeah. It's them. They're like, oh, we do this every year. It's like, so does the whole entire world.
Yeah.
How about every year at midnight, we celebrate the new year with some champagne? That's going to be an us thing.
Yeah. And Jane and Robert here, they also have 2 boys, Carly's nightmare, Joey and Edward. They are supposed to be asleep right now because it's like getting close to midnight, but little Joey, who reminded me a lot of the old kid and terms of endearment.
I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if Brad will hate these boys as much as he hated those boys.
We're going to get into it, folks. So they're the rich ones, whatever. And then they have hired help. So we also get introduced to another couple. And this is Ellen and Alfred Bridges, who are, the hired help, the cooks and things like that. They also have an infant daughter at this time, Fanny. But at least for the women, for Jane and Ellen, respectively, they're not having the best night ever, to celebrate, because both of them in their own conversations are expressing concern to their husbands about the fact that the men have to go to war soon.
The Boer War.
Yes, the Second Boer War, the first sort of historical event that we get. And from my very light research into the Boer War, the action is happening in South Africa. So the men are, in fact, I think they're like signing up to go to war. I don't think this was like a draft situation. And so the men they're like excited to go. Like they're not worried at all. The women who have to stay behind with their children and infant babies and they're like,
not risk death.
Wait. Right.
They're somehow more worried about it than their husbands. I wrote down this quote. So Jane Marriott, the most dramatic woman I've ever met in my whole entire life.
So dramatic.
She was talking to her husband. She's like, I can't bear to think about what it'll be like when you're gone to the war. And her husband, Robert's like, then don't. End of conversation. That was as much sympathy as Robert showed Jane. So, and that really definitely shows their personalities throughout this whole film.
Jane in particular, for the whole movie, she maintains that tone of voice the entire way through. She's always on the verge of tears that you never actually quite see.
I think I wrote Jane is dramatic 4 times in my notes over this movie.
Yeah, and I already skipped over this, but I did make a note to write it because we did get treated, before we even see anyone, we do get this like little like title card, this little message, and I thought like, wait, is this a silent movie again? But it's not. But I wrote it down, and the movie told us, this is the story of a home and family through the eyes of a wife and mother whose love tempers both fortune and disaster. So I really was looking at Jane here to be the central focal point of the whole movie. And we do see a lot of things through Jane's eyes here, but I would say this was not an accurate description of the whole movie, in my opinion. But
it's a good point.
But yeah, so we're getting this set up. There's war, there's conflict. The men are going to be heading off, but it's New Year's Eve. And so we do get like, for the Marriotts at least, like Joey is up out of bed. I think he's the older son. And he's like, Mommy, I want to see New Year. Where is New Year? And they're like, get your ass to bed.
Yeah, these parents were not having it at first.
No, yeah. And she tucks them to bed, and then Robert comes up, and she's like, shh, they're both asleep. And he's like, oh, let them see New Year. And Joey immediately bursts out of bed as if he was never sleeping at all. I was like, I want to see New Year. Edward, please. New Year.
I liked seeing this New Year. It was, 1899 obviously to 1900, and we lived through that, the next turn of the century. We were there from 1999 to 2000, and I just remember that being a really cool year, a really cool New Year. I feel like everyone was so pumped. I mean, there was, of course, the worldwide fear of
Y2K.
Thank you, Y2K, and the whole world shutting down. But other than that, it was just very exciting, and it was like, whoa, the turn of the century. And I just remember that being a very special New Year. So it was cool to see it. I mean, that was literally the last time it happened. Was this.
It's true.
And this is what the world looked like.
Yeah, we're watching a film depicting events that happened. I mean, at this point for us, it's been over 100 years. But yeah, you're right. Like, we also lived through, we've lived through several historical events at this point.
Yeah.
But you're right, the turn of the century.
Like, that's the last time it happened. That's what the world was like, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be any sort of Y2 panic happening in 1900 or... I guess it was just the war they were worried about, but...
Why 19K?
So, clock strikes midnight, welcome a new century, and from here, things kind of move fairly quickly and straightforward, where basically, again, Robert Marriott and Alfred Bridges, they are heading off to war, and you would think, like, okay, this is the part of the movie where we're going to follow the men to war, and this is a war story, and we're going to be there, but this is through the eyes of a wife and mother whose love tempers both fortune and disaster. So we don't go to South Africa. We don't follow the men to war. I'm thankful for it. Like, we get it. And instead, we do stay with the ones left behind. And we're going to get a lot of Jane fretting around her rich little flat. So when we do see her, she does have a gal pal that comes over, Margaret. And Margaret has a little girl named Edith, who's around the same age as Joey and Edward. So Edith goes to play with the boys. We do see quickly that the boys only want to play war, and they want the little girl to be the boars, the bad guys. And she's like, why do I gotta be the boar? And they're like, what's a girl good for?
And the mom's like, can't you play anything other than war?
Please, no.
Oh, can't you play anything other than war?
Like, I'm pretty sure months have passed, and this is yet still Jane's, like, full energy. She's, like, pacing around the room. There's, like, a guy playing an organ out on the street, so she goes out of the balcony and literally throws money down to him, and she's like, literally, fuck off, please, go down the street. And he just, like, picks up the money and keeps playing right outside her flat.
She pokes her head out in the balcony and says, hi, will you go away? That's what she says to him to get him to move. And that is one of my first Jane is so dramatic notes in my thing. Well,
oh my God.
And we at one point see Jane and a bunch of women go to this room, and on the wall it says South Africa casualty list, and they're all just, you know, all these women are huddled around reading, and I think you see Jane and Margaret, they're like, well, we don't see them yet, you know, kind of thing. And at one point you do see a woman faint because you would just completely fall over.
She like screams and faints.
Yeah. Fall. So you assume she didn't get good news, but it was a very quick clip. And then, you still see Jane being very dramatic at her house, knowing her husband's alive and all these things. So I get it. It was probably very stressful because you don't know back then.
Right. And I mean, I'm somebody who grew up in a military household, right? Like I've had my dad and my stepdad both head off to the Middle East. You know, you don't really know, but it's tough. It's challenging. It's not to say that like, you know, I don't want to tell Jane to man up here and get over it, but it's like, you do have to live your life though. And in this case, like, Jane still needs to be present for both Joey and Edward, like through this tough time. But instead we kind of see Jane just completely engulfed in her own emotions. And thank God she has her friend Margaret here to serve as like the audience proxy, because she's like, girl, get it together. She's like, we're having a girls' night. We're going to go to a restaurant. We're going to go to the theater. Let's go, girl. She's like, Robert would not want you to do this.
Yes.
And Jane's like, oh, but I don't know. Ooh. I really need to stay in my living room and fret and keep fretting. Margaret's like, get your ass out. Let's go.
Margaret wins. They do go to the show.
They do, yeah. We skip the restaurant and we go straight to the local theater.
And in this movie, we see about 10 minutes of this show, right?
I was pissed.
I know. I actually did fast forward a little bit because I was like, I don't think I need to see this.
Who cares?
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting like full musical numbers on stage with Jane up in those like rich balcony areas of the theater seats and just still being like, just like full Eeyore. And it's just like, good God, girl. and we do. Yeah, this movie makes us sit through 10 minutes of a production we have no idea or context or anything for.
That did give me vibes of Around the World in 80 Days because of we would go and we would see this full performance of things that have no addition to the plot, but are a big part of the movie somehow. So
we had to watch Passport be an entire circus production, being like flipped in the air, and it's like, and bullfighting. Oh my God. But this theater, it's like record scratch. A guy comes out, stops the whole thing, and he's like, hey, everybody, the war is over. And like thunderous applause. Like this play was never going to get this kind of reaction.
These actors have never seen such a response.
Jane is up out of her seat. Like she's levitating. She's all of a sudden like, best day of her life. Oh my God, the war is ending. The boys are coming home.
Rejoice.
So yes, Robert and Alfred, they are both going to come home safely here. There is nothing tragic that happens there.
We really quick cut back to the house, and I think we open with the servants downstairs. They're like talking about everyone coming home, and they're like preparing food and preparing for not only Robert upstairs to be coming home, but Alfred, Ellen's husband. And I forget the one servant. Okay, I'm so glad Brad's like laughing.
Annie.
What'd you say? The nanny? What's her name?
Her name is Annie.
Oh, her name is Annie, and she's like,
yes.
Wait. Apparently, everyone like does not like her. I think they all think she's clueless and dumb, but she's like, wait, like, where is Africa? And it was cracking me up because I think it was Ellen, Alfred's wife, was like, or I don't know, some other like older woman was like, what a stupid question to ask. What do you mean, where's Africa? And she's like, no, like, where is it? And then it was very much like, it reminded me of Schitt's Creek when David's like, what does folding mean? And Moira was like, fold it in.
You Fold in the cheese.
Fold in the cheese. And it was very much like, I can't teach you everything. So like clearly nobody knows where Africa is, but everyone is looking at Annie like she's ridiculous for asking the question. And she just kind of like still nobody answers her question. So I don't know if that part stood out to you, but I was like cracking up.
Here's how I wrote it in my notes. Okay, Annie's like, where is Africa? And they're like, you dumb bitch, have you never looked at a map?
Yeah, that is.
And Annie's response was like, well, some people don't have maps. And I literally wrote maps with an underline under
Some people
and everywhere,
such as,
like the Iraq and such as.
And such as don't have maps, like and such as. But I did really enjoy this.
I'm so thankful.
Small part of the movie. Yes. And I just knew wherever you were when you watched this, you got a giggle out of it too. So I'm glad we talked about it. Such a small part of the movie, but...
Yeah, Annie's not even a big character. I can't tell you how she got there. Yeah, she screamed like she was just like newly hired help. And in the kitchen is like Ellen, and I believe it's either Ellen's mom or it's Alfred's mom.
Yeah.
It's one of their moms is there. And then like a random cook lady. So yeah, they're all just like giving Annie full ship. And this is when Alfred does show up. And little baby Fanny is there as well in a stroller.
Yeah.
And Alfred finally comes home. And so everyone's like, oh my God, Alfred, you're here. You survived. Yay. Ellen's like beside herself, and he's like, oh, where's my Fanny? And then out of nowhere, he was like, hey, Ellen, hello, wife of mine. I've made a huge financial decision for the both of us. He's like, I bought a bar. She's like, huh? Yeah, Alfred returns from the war, gets a little bit of money from his rich friend Robert, but apparently a passion of Alfred to own a pub here in London. And he said, I bought one. So not only does he return from war, but has made a huge financial decision on his marriage without consulting his wife at all. And that's going to be important.
I assume it's going to go very well. And somehow Robert is knighted.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
All of a sudden we cut to the ceremony, and Robert Marriott, the wealthy family patriarch, is knighted from the war.
Yeah, apparently did so well in the war. Again, footage not found because we never got to see it. And we get this like formal dinner party where like the only purpose of the scene was so that you could see other women being like, oh, there's the Marriotts. Oh, there's Sir Robert. And that was the only purpose of the scene, was to, I guess, tell us that he's been knighted.
Yep.
But I would say right before that happens, though, this is 1901. And with the war ending and everything, it gets disrupted by our next historical event, which is Queen Victoria dies. And so there is a funeral procession, a motorcade, I would imagine, or maybe this is a cavalcade. Again, footage not found, but we only hear the procession through, again, the open windows of the Marriott's place. And so we do get a quick scene. And apparently Sir Robert is like in the front of the procession, gets to be in the front. The little boys, Joey and Edward, are so excited from the balcony, and they're being total assholes to Edith again. And so, so we need to mention that it's,
you're right. That was
Queen Victoria dying, 1901. Yeah. And so that's the setup. And then we're going to get our first big jump forward into time. We're going to head to 1908. So again, we're going to get that clip of that medieval cavalcade with a nice, medieval font that says 1908. Was not Century Gothic, I'll tell you that. And we're going to spend some time with the bridges here in 1908. And this is pretty wild.
We open to Alfred Wine and Spirits. That's what he named his bar.
Yeah. Yeah, very original, very clever. And he's inside. We see him talking to two guys at the bar, and he's like trying to set up this punchline, but Ellen keeps being like, Alfred, we need to talk. And so he doesn't quite finish the punchline, and he has to go. I guess their flat is attached to the bar or above it or whatever it is. But they do have their own place now. And I guess it's all important to say that because they bought the bar, they are not like, they're not working for the Marriotts anymore. Like they're not the hired help anymore, but they still stay in touch and stuff. But so we get this conversation between Ellen and Alfred, and things are not going well for the Bridgeses. For the Bridget Joneses. It's not going well. Ellen has several cutting remarks to Alfred here about his drinking and about not paying rent on time. They said he's never made a payment on time. And Alfred keeps shooing her away, being like, you're just a woman. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm running the bar. It's all going to be fine. So things seem a little tense for the Bridges. They got some issues. Ellen's letting Alfred know she ain't impressed. That don't impress her much. So.
Oh my gosh, a Shania Twain reference.
I was trying to do it with Margaret too earlier. I was trying to be like, let's go girls, when they had the girls' night out.
2 in 1 episode.
And so Alfred's like, well, I got to run some business or whatever. And Ellen says like, well, that's fine. Go run your business. I got my own thing going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't really say too much. And he heads out of the flat and in this alleyway runs into his daughter, Fanny.
Who's like 12. I mean, obviously she
Yeah.
was a baby in 1901. Last time we saw her. This
Right.
is 7 years later.
She has to be like 7.
Yeah, so she's like 7 or 8 in an alleyway by herself on the streets performing, I think, like out on the streets dancing. And I wrote, Fanny hates her dad.
Yeah, he's like, give me a kiss. And she has the biggest stank face on. She's like, absolutely not. And he's like, what, you don't want to give your dad a kiss? So she does give him a little kiss on the cheek and like scurries away.
But it's very like,
actually runs away from her
hate
father.
him. And it's very, you could just tell,
Yeah.
like, ugh, that's my dad. Ugh.
Yeah. And so we see Alfred like walking down the street or whatever. Like he's on his way to do business, but he gets like stopped by some guys outside of another bar. And they're like, Alfred, though, come have a drink. And we see Alfred's like, oh, okay, I have time for one drink. So he's going to go get loaded. And we do cut back to what Ellen has planned for the night. And she's having a little like get together, a little dinner party that she did not want to tell Alfred about. And she's invited Jane Marriott over. And we see Edward, not Joey. And even though it's only been 7 years, Edward looks like he is in his like late 20s.
Yeah, totally.
And he's in college. So I was trying to do the math in my head. I was like that woman doing all the triangles around her head. So they seem to be doing well. The Marriotts, again, Edward is at Oxford. And also in the room is Annie, you know, the girl who doesn't know where Africa is. And she's newly married to this like much older man, George, who is Ellen's like cousin. Honestly, he's not very important, whatever.
Yeah.
But Annie is no longer hired help herself. She's married rich. Good for her.
Probably has a map now.
One could hope. And it's a little awkward at this dinner, I would say. Again, I think what we're supposed to pick up on are just sort of like the class divide between the Marriotts, who are super rich, successful, whatever. They're going to Oxford or whatever. And Annie, Ellen, and George, and the rest of them who are like, oh, Oxford, that's cool. Ooh, yeah. And Jane at one point is like, well, where's Alfred? And Ellen's like, oh, he's sick with like broken leg, you know.
He's sick with broken leg.
He would so like to be here, but he's so sick with broken leg. And they're like, okay.
Oh.
And also here is Fanny. I forgot to say, the scene actually starts with Fanny doing a whole dance production to some piano music. And you could just tell everybody's like pretending to like it. And she really wants to be Essie from You Can't Take It With You. Just
Yeah,
with her
you're
dancing.
right.
She just really was trying so hard.
You're so right. It gave those vibes so much.
So Jane's like, well, we're going to leave because we don't really want to be here a moment longer. So her and Edward get up, and as they're preparing to leave, Alfred shows up, walks in through the front door.
Drunkenly.
Sees everybody there. And he's so drunk, yeah. And he's like, what the fuck is this? He's pissed. A dinner party without me, he said. And Ellen's like, oh my God, your leg is healed.
It's like when Arizona Robbins, like, all of a sudden has a fine leg in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Like, that has to have been how the Marriotts felt when they saw him walk in.
Yeah, it's like Quinn Fabray needing a wheelchair only for that one episode of Glee and then never again.
Because she was hit by a car and paralyzed for an episode.
This series of events is pretty wild, okay? Alfred, he's pissed. He grabs Fanny's little doll and she like screams in terror and runs out of the house. Okay. Not only runs out of the house, but like runs out onto the street. And I don't know what's going on, but the entire street, there's like a street party going
Everyone's
on.
out
Every single
there.
person in the world is out on the street partying, drinking, having fun. I don't know what's going on. It's 1908. Maybe our listeners can fill us in on what was going on in London, England, 1908. But Fanny runs out there in fear, sees people in the street, and just starts dancing for them. Smile on her face, and all these adults are like, whoa, little girl, go!
Yeah.
Okay, oh, damn! Alfred chases after her, goes out in the street, and is attempting to bring Fanny back into the home. But from these, like, strangers' point of view, they just see this drunk man trying to take this little girl away. And so these random people watching this little girl dance are like, calling the authorities. The police come over and they're taking Alfred away, and they take him away, and then bam. And you might be thinking, oh my God, he was hit by a bus? No, that bam was the sound of a man being ran over by two horses.
A horse and carriage. And to say I rewinded this to make sure it was what I thought happened and watched again him get trampled by a horse-drawn carriage, I was shooken. I was like, wait, no. And then I backed it up. And in fact, he was run over by a horse-drawn carriage.
In the movies we talked about, Carly, we have seen some wild deaths. Okay, we watched Hilary Swank hit that stool. We watched a bunch of school children die during a fire drill. Okay, but this was crazy. This was wild, being ran over, and it's like, again, the entire street was filled. The fact that only one man was ran over by these horses and not more, like, was wild. He gets completely demolished, and we cut back to inside where Ellen's like, God, I fucking hate Alfred. Like, I hope he dies in a fucking tragic and embarrassing way. And then a guy walks in, he's like, hey, Ellen.
Oh.
There's been a bit of an accident. Oh, no.
And then she's like, is he hurt badly? And he's like, And the shriek she struck, she's like, ah!
Oh, my God.
It's weird. She, like, walks out the door and stops.
Yes.
And then she, like, starts running. It was the most bizarre thing.
Right.
I wrote...
Finds his mangled corpse.
And then is, like, devastated. I wrote 2 notes about this.
Yeah.
I wrote Alfred run over by horses. Ellen devastated even though she hates him. Fanny still dancing.
This scene ends with the camera just cutting back to Fanny, probably just a mere feet away from her father's mangled, dead corpse, and she's dancing with full smile on her face. Like,
bizarre.
That is 1908 for us.
And then we cut to a time card that says 1909.
Yeah, we cut to the next year, and it's beach trip. We're going to the beach. We see... This was funny, too. So we first see Ellen and Fanny has entered some sort of little girl, toddlers and tiara dance competition. And she's just been declared the winner. And there's this other little girl with her dad. Yeah. And she was like, no! And honestly, we cut to another scene of them walking on the beach, and we still hear this little girl screaming from somewhere. She's so fucking pissed that she lost to Fanny.
You're right. I forgot about that competition scene. I didn't take any notes on that. Oh my God. I think because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. So for the listener, Fanny is a bit of a prodigy of...
Because she can literally dance through anything. Nothing.
She will dance on her father's corpse.
Nothing will stop Fanny, and that is how she really makes it in that cruel industry.
So pretty much everyone is here at the beach because we get Ellen and Fanny run into, except for Robert. We really don't ever see Robert.
Yeah.
So, but they run into Jane, Joey and Edward are there, and then of course Margaret and Edith. And again, these kids are now all somehow like the Riverdale kids. They're all, and the Stranger Things kids, they're all in their 30s. And it's awkward. Everyone's like, hey, Ellen, how's it been going since your dead husband died? But there's a little bit of a love connection. We see Edward and Edith, little childhood pals. They're like, well, we're going to go to a concert together. And they just kind of split off from the group. And Joey's like, they're going to go fuck.
Totally.
Everyone's like, Joey.
Joey, cut the shit.
Yeah, so we get this little bit of a pairing of Edith and Edward, and when they do break off from the group, we do see like Margaret and Jane being like, oh my God, my son, your daughter, a perfect match. Oh. And again, Ellen and Fanny just still standing there being like, yeah, it's nice to be rich.
But they were talking, I think Ellen had taken over the pub, right? I think she was talking about that. How like she was now, true. And she was talking about how they're basically like she's doing it well enough that they're like living off the pub. Yeah.
So Ellen has stepped up as girl boss, has gotten her MBA, I imagine, and she is running that pub. And from what we gather, doing successfully. Although we don't really ever see.
Yeah, no.
The pub.
We
again,
never see Alfred Wine and Spirits in any capacity, but
so we cut away to them to check up on Edward and Edith. They like are truly down at the beach and just full on professing their love for each other out of nowhere. So again, we're like halfway through the movie and these two are in love and they do share a kiss, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here on the beach, I think.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I love you. Oh my gosh, I love you too. And don't they see like a big ship go by, right? And they're like, we should go on a ship. Edward's like, let's go on the greatest ship we can find. And then
I think they're talking about like their honeymoon or something. Like they're gonna
you're right.
Or like
they're like, let's go somewhere. Like let's go on something. And he's like, we'll go on the greatest ship there is someday. And then they're like, oh look, and there's some successful flight that I later read was important, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, a man flies over the English Channel. Yes. It's a big deal. he probably has a French name I couldn't pronounce. So, and then, yeah, so they talk about honeymoons and being on big boats, and we cut to 1912.
Well,
nighttime.
It says
Atlantic Ocean.
And this was the first time card where we get a date. It says April 14th, 1912. And I was like, okay, they couldn't have given us any suspense with this. Like, they have to give the exact date.
The ones who know will know. Yeah. Pretty quickly, because it's pretty obvious. Right. But the movie thinks you're as dumb as Annie, not knowing where Africa is. And we get this very long scene, and it's just Edward and Edith on a random boat, and they're over, I don't know, port side, I don't know boat terms. They're like by the railing.
They're looking out onto the water, and they're talking about death.
This conversation was bizarre, because first Edith is like, oh, I have all these reservations because you have fucked around a lot, and you've whored around a lot, and I didn't whore at all. And he's like, yeah, what's your point? And she's like, God, I just love you so much I could die. And he's like, yeah, I could really die here too at any moment.
And they're like, man, someday we're gonna die, and like, I hope blah blah blah. And they're like, yeah, and when I die, I hope blah blah blah. And I'm like,
our love is like a boat hitting an iceberg in the night.
And then really,
they step away.
Right, we step away from them.
Yeah.
And really, we just cut to like a
life preserver.
Yeah, life preserver that just says,
yeah,
RSS Titanic, and then that's like
fade to black.
Yeah, fade to black. Exactly. But I will say at the end of the scene, and as someone who's watched Titanic a lot of times in my life, they were playing the same song in the movie Titanic that they
Celine
play.
Dion?
No, not the Celine Dion. But there's like the violin people on the Titanic, and they're like playing this song at the end. And they played that same song at the end of this scene. So
yeah.
I don't know if like James Cameron later in life was like, oh, I saw this movie Cavalcade, and this song really goes well. Or if somehow there was some record on the Titanic. Interesting that it was the same song, I swear.
Yeah, we don't have to do it now. We can maybe do it after the recap. But I do want to talk about this whole scene, this reveal, this just how they did the Titanic, whether it was satisfying or not. Because I have thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it now.
Okay, because I thought this was so like an awful of a reveal. Like you don't see any parts of the boat. Like you just see these two people. You don't see anybody else. And then it was just sort of gimmicky for them to step away. And it's just like zooming in on this life preserver. This is Titanic. You know, I was hoping their conversation got interrupted by like the boat shuddering, you know, or just like the crash or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't need to see the full sinking, but it's kind of cheap to just be like, oh, they were on the Titanic, and a little unbelievable, but whatever.
Well, and I was trying to think about people in 1933 watching this movie, right? Like people in 1933 definitely knew about the Titanic, probably in the same sense that we know about 9/11. You know, it's something that was horrible at the time. I mean, obviously, like we watched 9/11 happen on TV, and we were like hearing about it in real time, so it's a little different. But I feel like this movie could have done something so cool where they didn't show the time or the date ahead of time. And they just showed these two lovers on a boat, and then like maybe at the end you show, oh, they're on the Titanic, kind of like in this movie I've never seen, Remember Me, where where there's
a little gimmicky.
Yeah, exactly. And then they like show the date, September 11th, 2001 at the end of that movie, but I've never seen that, so I've only been told about it. But I agree. I was like thinking about this movie, and I had to think about this movie, people seeing this without having seen 1997 Titanic. I don't know. Right. It's like, you know, this movie is portraying this event, and they didn't even, I don't know. It was not done well to me either. And I just have such a soft spot for the Titanic, and I think they could have done a lot more with it, like you're saying. Well,
this is why I think it probably went over really well for a 1933 audience, because it has the around the world effect of like we don't care about around the world in 2025 when we're watching it, because it's like we live in the age of the internet and we can see photographs of these places where that could have been a lot more novel. Like you're right, like in 1933, right? Like we're 20-ish years away from Titanic. Like it's still fresh and historical and impactful enough that like to see it be represented in any film, and this could be the first reference of it in any sort of fictional film, who knows, but they could have been in the audience just so gooped and gagged, and to see that reveal and be like, whoa, even best picture,
like shake the camera, you know, like whoa,
right,
and then like fade to black, that would have been pretty sweet.
You know, then I could also see, you know, because critics existed at any point, that them being like, oh my god, like that's really rude to the people who are on the Titanic. Right. It's like, okay. So Edward and Edith, if you didn't catch up on this, die in the Titanic sinking and are dead.
She was not one of the better half. She was not the better half. She did not get on one of the woman lifeboats that they had.
I know, and they were
upper class.
If the lifeboats were seated according to class,
Right.
they would have been
Right.
And certainly as a woman, they were doing women and children first.
Maybe she did what Rose did and was like, "No, I won't go without you, Jack," and then they died on a door.
Yeah.
So, but not to spoil a future movie.
We'll never know because, again, this movie won't show us the historical events. They just give us a tease and then they cut away.
But this 4-minute part of the movie, we just really dove deep into. So
yeah, we get really invested in the Edward Edith romance that took place over probably 5 minutes of screen time in the whole movie, just for it to end, and we never see these characters ever again.
Yep.
So, with that said, we're not yet done with Cavalcade. We jump to 1914, and now World War I is starting. So now we're catching up to the plot to Wings. And
I did think about Wings.
And very similar to the start of the movie in 1900, like the men are going to have to go off to war. And so Sir Robert, he's going to be heading off to war. But this time, Joey, Jane's remaining son, is also going to go off to war. And again, Joey's like ecstatic.
Oh yeah, they were like,
he's
he
happy.
was pumped to go to war. Did you get a
Yeah.
kick out of this conversation where Joey's like, how long is it you think this will last? And the dad's like, oh, perhaps it'll last like, he's like, oh, 3 months tops. And then Joey's like, well, maybe it'll last like 6 months. And Robert's like, that's economically impossible.
What, do you think this will be some sort of world war?
He's like laughing about it. He's like, oh,
Part 1.
economically impossible. And then even later,
It's just Germany.
right? Even later, Jane was like, oh, how long is this even gonna last? This is terrible. And Joey's like, oh, Dad said it won't last more than 3 months. Like, Dad said it's not even possible. So she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I did think that was like ironic.
Yeah, and again, we don't see Joey in battle or in war. Instead, we cut to sometime later where like he's out on leave and we just see him at this like fancy dancing like club. And so we're
dancing.
Did someone say dancing? And sure enough, here comes Fanny, age 44 somehow, and she's out there kicking a heel, whatever, kicking a leg. And
one of Joey's friends is like, oh, that's Fanny Bridges. And Joey's like, Fanny Bridges?
I know her.
I wrote, Fanny Bridges is a star despite her drunk and dead dad.
She has persevered through all of her family trauma to become a star. She's that good of a dancer. So, and then Joey has a very interesting response to all this. He breaks into her dressing room and hides behind the door because she walks in, and then immediately, as one does in a dressing room, starts to undress while Joey is now, quote, trapped behind the door watching her undress like a big pervert.
She also like didn't close the door. Like she opens the door and traps Joey behind it.
Yeah, she's Fanny fucking Bridges.
Right.
She doesn't
Fanny fucking Bridges.
She's a star, goddammit. And so Joey tries to like quietly shimmy out, and he can only kind of make it to the doorway. So it does kind of, when she turns around and sees him, it kind of looks like maybe he just appeared in the doorway versus like trying to vacate her room. But she does ask, she's like, were you in here the whole time? He's like, no. Meanwhile, he's like bricked up. And
we don't see that on camera, by the way. Brad's just assuming.
No, but if Wings could give us that naked butt room, I'm appalled by the lack of nudity.
We could have gotten an over-the-pants brick. Brick shot.
And so Fanny's like, who the fuck are you? I'm Fanny fucking Bridges. And he's like, rather than just like outright being like, it's me, Joey, from back then, he's like, don't you remember me? Don't you know me? Think a little harder.
Yeah.
My name is Joey.
Like, this is not the time for a riddle, Joey. Tell me who the fuck you are.
Finally, Fanny
cracks the case.
Fanny cracks the case. She's like, oh, you're Joey fucking Marriott. She's like, want a bone? And they fall in love. And it's kind of bizarre because they, I think, are later at like Fanny's place. They're like talking about their love or whatever. They're clearly been seeing each other, but they're keeping it a secret from their respective families, I guess. I think what we're supposed to like intuitively know is like, oh, because again, this class divide, right? Like Fanny comes from this like poor family, whatever. And
I think Fanny says like, I don't think your mom would like this.
And so they're keeping it a secret. But while they're having this conversation, like bombs are falling. Like England is being bombed. Yeah. And Fanny's response, let's go to the roof and see it. So even though the lights are like going out and the building is shaking, they head up to the roof for a romantic nighttime view of their country being bombed in World War I. Yeah. And yeah, they watched the lovely night sky light up. And then we cut to a very long, a 3-year long montage that felt 3 years long.
I think the montage probably was like 3 minutes long, and they just keep showing years. 1915. I wrote 1915 war montage, and then I wrote 1916, and then I wrote 1917.
Yep.
And then I was like, I'm going to stop wasting lines in my notes, and I'm just going to wait till the end of this montage. And then it was 1918 was the end. So. And
it was like the same like cycle like clips of just like close up of men's faces, but kind of like overlaid over like, again, men sort of in a procession, right? Like heading off into battle.
Yeah. I did like all of a sudden, it gave me Wings vibes because all of a sudden they did start to show some women, like nurses and some women in war kind of thing. So it gave me vibes of Wings and Clairbeau fighting.
Where's Mary?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, way more interesting. I mean, like, again, we're not really getting into World War I here. We're just kind of getting these clips and these montages. We're not even seeing the characters in battle. But once this montage is over, you know, see Fanny and Joey together again. And this time he's like, hey, I love you so much. I want to marry you. And this is where Fanny's like, I don't know. I don't think your mother would approve.
Yeah. When Fanny's getting ready for her big show, right? Okay, yeah. Fanny's like in her dressing room, like getting ready for this big show. She's really made it big. And Joey's back there. And I wrote Joey bragging about being so good at war. Like he is. He's back there like talking about how good.
He's like, oh my God.
Oh, war. Oh.
War's my middle name,
yeah,
bitch.
Exactly. He's like bragging about being good at war.
Because like, yeah, she's preparing for a show. He is currently on leave and he is going to be heading back out to war.
Oh yeah, he's going to war like right now. He's like, oh babe, I wish I could stay and watch your show, but I got to go back to war. She's like, oh no, you got to go to war. Yeah, and it was like, you have to go to war right now, like right this second. And even Fanny's like, oh my God, babe, go to war. Like, I'll do the show, you go to war, we'll be fine.
It will totally work out for us. We're not in a Final Destination movie where death is coming for your whole family one by one.
Totally, babe. We go. I got this. I'll stay here and dance. You go to war. And then I think we see Jane's.
Yeah, he says goodbye to Jane at the train station, boards the train or whatever.
And did you see the kiss? There was like a mouth.
Between him and his mom.
Yeah, there was like a mouth kiss. A mom mouth kiss.
No. I missed it.
No, you have to find it. I wrote a mom mouth kiss in all caps. You have to find it and post it. But they gave full...
Not this again.
Full lips. It must have been a World War I thing where you have to say goodbye to your mom.
Yeah, they were like, kiss your mother, son.
Kiss your mother. And it doesn't seem to be a good luck kiss because... It doesn't.
It's the kiss of death.
Yeah, the kiss of death, to kiss your mom passionately on the lips before you go to war.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, so he boards the train. Jane, again, fretting at the train station. She'll eventually go home. And then we see Joey runs into his dad in the war or whatever.
I said Joey found his dad at war. Like, oh, dad.
Yeah, just, I assume they didn't kiss either, right?
No, I did not see a dad and Joey kiss. But his dad's like, oh, don't worry, Joey.
His dad's like, the war's
ending. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we need one last big push.
The big push?
The big push where the one guy in Wings accidentally shoots his friend down. So Sir Robert is like, you'll be fine, son. It's just this like final battle and the war is going to end. I'm a part of all these conversations and we're reaching a conclusion. Joey's like, oh golly gee, dad. All right, I'm going to go find the big push. Then we cut to, this is a fun scene. We cut back to Ellen and Jane, and I believe this is 1918. So this is the end of World War I. And so we're back at Jane's house, still fretting, all alone. Her son and husband are still at war. And Ellen comes over and it's kind of awkward. It's kind of icy.
Yeah.
Ellen kind of walks in being like, oh, hi, Jane. I have a big ol' secret I gotta tell you. Oh, but I really can't say. Oh, I don't know if I should, but I got a big ol' secret. And Jane's like, cut the shit. What do you know? And Ellen is like, well, my Fanny and your Joe are doing it. And Jane looks so disgusted. Yeah. Really like showing her ass here in this conversation, in my opinion. Jane's like, oh, how could you know that? You talked to Fanny about it? And Ellen's like, no, I like found one of her letters and I decided to read it. I like found her diary. And Jane's like, well, cool. And Ellen's like, what? I bet you think your son is too good for my daughter. And Jane's like, yep.
Totally. Completely.
And there's like a knock at the door, but from the streets though, people are screaming, "The war's over, the war's done." And Jane's like, "Oh, thank God," but she's got a telegram, she's got a little letter at the door, so she grabs that. She's like, "Thank God, my son and my husband are both coming home." Looks at the letter. "Well, Ellen, you needn't to worry about Fanny and Joe anymore."
Don't worry, they're not together anymore.
Because my son is dead.
And then Jane faints.
Yep, her fears have come true. Joey, in the last push, dies. This is both Joey and Edward now. Robert did survive, and he comes home. And this movie ends kind of full circle, where it's now New Year's Eve, 1932, and Ellen and Robert are very old. They got their old makeup on, old prosthetics are on, and they're like toasting. And it's very solemn. It's very bizarre. They're like, "To the future, it's gonna do to us whatever it's gonna fucking do to us. We have no control over what the fuck is coming our way next.
We have no more happiness
So cheers,
to
darling."
think about, but we're going to continue this tradition that's just ours and toast to the new year because only we do it.
It's so weird. They like kind of look to camera, both holding their glasses up and just with like this dead behind the eyes like look. And they're like, "To peace and prosperity, I guess."
Fade to black.
Happy New Year. Fade to black, and that has to be the end of us talking about Cavalcade.
That's the end of Cavalcade. But also, like, can you imagine being in 1933, right? And watching this movie, and that's the ending vibes you get going into the new year of 1933. It's like, oh, solemn.
Right, they're gonna be like, they're like on the eve of World War II already.
Yeah.
They don't even they probably don't even know it. So yeah, kind of a bleak movie for sure.
Sadder than I expected, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, I feel like I've seen sadder.
Yeah, I didn't expect the kid deaths. You know, I didn't expect the two boys that we like saw at the beginning. Like, I didn't expect them to both die, which was kind of sad to me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't expect a grown man to be ran over by two horses.
That was a surprise, but I maybe would have put it on my bingo card at the beginning of the movie of things that might happen. Not the horse death, but the death of Alfred was probably going to be on my bingo card. But these two little kids that we saw wanting to get out of their beds and, you know, watch, I was like, oh, I never would have expected their demise. But
because let's just get into it, what we think about the movie. And Joey dying in World War I, we've seen this kind of story before. We've seen this, it all makes sense to me. That's fine. I think like the Titanic death is like harder for me because it just feels like we got to find a way to work Titanic in, and it has to have impact. So that's where like I feel like it just gets a little unbelievable. It feels more like Edward's death is about the reveal of Titanic and Titanic being in the movie than it is actually like we're meant to feel sad that Edward dies. But it is sad to watch both parents sort of toast in the new year, and they're clearly like depressed as fuck. And at the start of the film, right, like their kids were awake and excited, and we got the whole like little family get together celebrating the new year of 1900. Cut to this New Year's Eve, and it's much more somber and much more sad. So it's interesting that the film did it. I just don't think, I think these historical events weren't all effective and a bit like ham-fisted. Like they were just shoved down our throats, and I think it was at the expense of us caring about the characters. That's where it started to feel a little gimmicky to me.
Yeah.
Similar to Around the World in 80 Days, where I also feel like it sacrificed plot and character development in order to shove all these locations down our throats, and like being at all these different countries and different places. This felt like kind of the same, where like we're going to sacrifice plot and character development for the sake of a Titanic reveal and World War I. And a lot of these things happen off screen. It's like, again, it's like, do I want to go see them fight in the Second Boer War? No, but it's like, it's hard to tell me like, oh, well, Robert was a war hero. And it's like, was he? He's barely a character in the whole film. Like,
yeah.
And like, I didn't think this was really like told through the eyes of Jane that much. Like, certainly she's there for the entirety of the movie, but I don't know. It's just like we didn't get to see her like hear the news about the Titanic. We didn't like, we skip over all of that, and it's just sort of like we do see her get the news about Joey, but then we kind of skip ahead to 1933, and I don't know. We just didn't really like spend time with these people actually being impacted by these events, and more so just being told how they felt.
A lot of the movie relied on the viewer filling in gaps. You know, a lot of it relied on context clues, which I think is an artistic choice for sure. But that is definitely a part of the movie where they're missing a lot of detail.
And obviously, you and I, we've talked about this already on the Better Half, but when I first sat down to watch Cavalcade and just to see sort of like the black and white and like this is not a high definition, the music and everything, it really made me feel like I was sitting in a classroom and there was going to be a quiz at the end of this movie and you had to watch it for an assignment. It's the first time this podcast has felt like an assignment. But this movie did genuinely make me laugh out loud. Probably not in the ways it wanted me to, but I did laugh out loud when Alfred gets ran over with Fanny dancing in the street and with Annie's, 2 seconds of fame with her iconic "Where's Africa?"
Where's Africa? What a stupid question. You don't know where Africa is? Well, where is it? You know.
Right. I mean,
everyone knows. It's a Bernays.
It's where Africa
yeah,
is.
It's where Africa is. And even when Alfred gets home, Annie's like, "Where is Africa?" And Alfred's like, "I don't know where it is, but I know it's hot when you get there."
Yeah.
Fade to black. Brad, I'm interested after all that you just said. We chose the emoji of the hourglass for this film. We did.
Yes.
There weren't a lot of options. Brad did want to do a horse at first, but there was not a good enough horse emoji, so we did the hourglass because of the passage of time and because of the New Year's kind of tie-in, counting down.
Countdown.
Yeah, all of that. So I think it is an appropriate emoji. So I'm wondering, Brad, how many emojis you would give this film?
Okay. This is a clear 1 hourglass rating.
I knew you would
me.
do that.
Yeah, clear as day for me. I think.
So wait, so walk me through this because you always say you start at a 3 and then you see if it gains or loses. So tell me how it lost 2 emojis for you.
The movie did not do a good job getting me to really care about the characters. I don't know. It took me too long to really realize like what the purpose of the movie is. And then once I kind of knew it was more about these events than they were like the actual characters in the story, I just sort of felt, I didn't care about it as much. And that's me speaking as somebody born, almost 100 years later, right? Who didn't live through these historical events. They just don't hit me as hard watching it back. And then just overall, like, obviously the movie is from 1933. I understand, like, the medium itself is still developing and it's still in its foundational phase, but the film itself is just so old. I had a hard time sort of having my attention the whole way through. While there were some funny moments, I don't know. In general, it's just a movie I know I'll never watch again.
Yeah. You gave Wings a 3. You think it's that much worse than Wings?
Yes. Okay. I think Wings is a better film. Okay. I really do. I think, and honestly, like, Mary's a huge part of that. I think, like, it makes me, if you were to compare sort of the actress who plays Jane and Clara Bow playing Mary, it's like Clara Bow is far better, a superior actress and performer. And that's her doing it in a silent movie. And I still haven't forgotten what you told me about how she like fought to have a bigger role in the movie. And I just think like Mary's inclusion and presence, her character in the film, is what makes that movie stand out the most to me. The fact that like this could have just been about 2 men going to war or whatever, clearly gay lovers.
Oh, you're so right. There was no gay lovers in this, so that is why.
That's a big part of it.
1 hourglass gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the performances themselves, like I didn't think
not memorable.
They were that great. Yeah. I thought Jane, again, I kind of looked at Jane as being the main character because the movie said like this is the story of her home and family and told through her eyes, which I don't think is true. And I'm sorry to that actress, but I didn't think that was a great performance. It was very sort of, it was one note the whole way through, just her sort of trembling, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, if we're going to talk about female representation or female characters, like they're much stronger in Wings, in my opinion, and like than the women here. And again, it's like we got no real conclusion or closure to Fanny and her story, or her even finding out about Joey. And again, we got Edward and Edith within minutes. They're gone and dispatched from the story. Like we don't even, like, Jane's worried about Robert for so much, and we barely get any scenes between Jane and Robert. It's just like that first one, and then like it's just Jane for the rest of the movie. So I just think like there was almost too many characters in the story that the movie could handle. And again, like I think characters were sacrificed for the sake of historical elements.
Yeah.
And that's fine if that's what the movie wants to be, but to me, it's not interesting. And I do compare it to the only other movie that I gave a 1 to, which is Around the World in 80 Days, which I felt very similarly. I just felt like there was no plot or character development, and it was just about seeing these cool places. While there was humor in Around the World in 80 Days, and there was some attempt at humor in this movie, this one was meant to be played, I think, a lot more dramatically and supposed to evoke a lot more of a drama, sadness feeling in the viewer. And so it just made it less fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
It did. It definitely did. In a ton, it answered it.
Getting a vibe from you, Carly. What rating are you slapping on this bad boy?
Similar to last movie, I really wish there was a 2.5 hour glass emoji, because I was swinging between 2 and 3 a lot.
Wow.
But I think your explanation did help me solidify it's a 2 rating for sure.
Okay.
And I think, honestly, and I hear all of the things that you say, and I agree with everything you say.
Yeah.
But I think it gains a little extra to me because I love the premise of this. And I love when I was watching this movie, because I did watch it, I was thinking of, like, I love seeing moments like, things like this, like seeing people live through historical moments. And I was like, wow, I wish something like this would happen like now. But it made me think of the morning show, kind of, a little bit, because you do, and it's not like a long 4-decade thing like this movie is, but you see these people and then you see these historical events happening a much smaller scale. They're not like these worldwide events, most of them, but you see these like big things, and they'll be like, oh, we're going to go to Las Vegas. There's this thing happening. And then we're going to go to, and then COVID happens, and you see these people like living through these moments that we all experienced. And it's interesting to see other people live through them. We also haven't watched it yet, but Forrest Gump, this is basically what Forrest Gump does, and it is spanned across at least 2, maybe 3 decades, where you see all these historical events happening. And you see like Forrest experiencing all of them. And I think that's why that's such an iconic film. So I'm really excited for you again to watch Forrest Gump. I know you aren't excited, but I just love this premise of like historical events happening and us seeing it unfold. And I think in 1932, 1933, this was probably a really big feat of artistry, is seeing these families experience these art things. And again, I also thought of Downton Abbey because it's the same setting. It's the UK, and it's the same time period. You see them go to World War I, you see Titanic, and so I do think it reminded me of that a little bit. So I think all of that made me want this film to be a 3, but I agree with the acting. I agree with there's like no detail in anything. We got 6 minutes of this show that meant nothing to the film. Like, why did we have to see a 6-minute performance of whatever show they went to see? And we could have gotten more context on any of the historical events that we saw. So I agree. I think it's a 2-hour-glass film, but like the premise of the film a lot more than I like the film itself.
That does make sense with what I know of you and your character. And
in a nice way.
When I watched it, I was like, well, Carly's going to hate this. So I am a little like, whoa,
really?
Like Carly even considered a 3 for it. But I do think you bring up a good point where like we have certainly seen stories and television series do similar things to this. And I think for me, what's running through my head right now is like, I'm trying to think of an example of like, have I ever liked that? Like in the morning show when they're like, oh no, COVID is here. I don't think I've ever been like, oh, cool. Like they're doing COVID. Like I think maybe I am sort of like maybe I want my fiction to really just be fiction. And maybe that's what's grating for me. It's like,
we go back to what we always say is Brad likes fiction that could never happen. I like fiction that could happen. So that does really resonate.
Making a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I do. I support your 2. I am curious where we'll rank it. Maybe there's more discourse here because I think I'll just start. I want to put this dead last. So basically I say I liked Around the World in 80 Days more than this movie. Look, Passport was fun to laugh at. And that's kind of it. That's the only reason why I give it an edge.
No, I just think Around the World in 80 Days. I like the characters in this movie a lot more than I like the characters in that movie.
Okay.
But
I can concede putting it above.
I do think it's an F-tier movie. I agree with that.
Okay, phew. All right.
Yes.
Let's do it second to last.
Are you sure you're okay with that?
I'm fine with that. I'm happy to support you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that works for me. Again, like I'm like, oh, the fact that you even liked it at all
is surprising.
Surprising, but it makes sense hearing you talk about it. So.
No, I like to see raw human emotion, and I think this had a lot of that. Mostly from Jane, but I just liked seeing the real life, I say that in quotes, real life experience going through these historical events. And I think there could have been so much more, especially with like the class difference, but we could have really dived a lot deeper into those things. But if you want that, just watch Downton Abbey. I'm telling you right now, and you get all of this. So
just hearing you, like you're certainly more passionate about Cavalcade than I am passionate about Around the World in 80 Days.
Okay.
So that's why I'm comfortable putting this above.
Okay, cool. But yes, I like that we agree it's an F tier movie. We've been saying we need a good F tier movie, and I think we found one.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a snoozer, and I'm never going to watch it again. And comparing it to like other old movies that we've done around this time, like You Can't Take It With You, which is like, what, 5 years later than this, like I enjoyed that a lot more, you know, and even Wings, I felt like, and maybe it's because we watched it together, and maybe if we had watched Cavalcade together, maybe this would look different, but I feel good with where we're at with it. And I'm curious, though, let's bring in the Rotten Tomatoes of it all. And just to refresh your memory, Carly, because it's been a while since I've mentioned this, but there are 3 Best Picture winners with a Rotten Tomato score, meaning they got below a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we're also looking for 3 movies who are joining Parasite in the 99 Club.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, do you think this movie is in either the Rotten Club or the 99 Club?
It's like in a show where they say previously on and they bring up this random part and you're like, wait, so that's going to be relevant again? Like, I'm wondering if you brought that up just because this is one of those. Plus, you didn't like it and all of your opinions on every film depends on the Rotten Tomato score. So I'm wondering if that has to do with your one. So I guess I'm going to say, yeah, it's probably certified rotten if you're bringing that up. Here's the thing. I wish it would get like, if I look at the other Rotten Tomato scores, like
Yes.
Around the World in 80 Days got a 72.
Correct.
I think it should get.
Do you think it's higher or lower?
In my head, higher, of course. Obviously, we just talked about that. But your context clues are giving me lower. So what did you say is certified rotten? Under 60?
Under 60. So that's helpful too, to let you know like what could possibly be the lowest, right? We know like 90-ish of these movies are going to be above 60%. So I think it's safe to say most of them are going to be in the 90% range.
Yeah.
And most of the ones that we've talked about have been in 90s. So I really bring it up to just remind you, or like remind the listeners too, that we're talking about a threshold of 60% and that 3 movies have fallen below it. I can reveal that Cavalcade is not in the Rotten Club. However, it is below Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh my God, I was saying
at 64.
64? I was going to say, I hope it's like 65-ish. Okay!
You're right on the money.
Yay.
It is, according to the list that I look at, that puts this in the order of Rotten Tomato score, it is 5th from the bottom, which is also a clue to you that there is a film between 60 and 64.
Okay.
Because there's a movie below Cavalcade that is also not in the Rotten Club, but we have yet to hit any of the rotten ones.
No, I actually am comfortable with that Rotten Tomato score. I'm cool with it.
Okay.
I think it's good. I don't think it's like a Best Picture winner 90s material, but again, I liked the premise of the film, but the film could have been better. So I'm comfortable with it being 64.
Okay. Well, are you comfortable saying that this movie's for the girls though?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it to my girlies. So I put a thumbs down for that. What about you for the gays?
Like 5 thumbs down.
5 thumbs down.
Yeah, I wish all my fingers could be replaced by thumbs and I could all point them all down. I think at the very end, when they're about to toast to 1933, I think Jane does say like, oh, make a toast that's gay or something. She does.
Yes.
She definitely drops
Oh my
the G
gosh,
word.
yes.
All right. Well, I won't talk too much about the director Frank Lloyd because this will not be the last time that we talk about him. He will direct the Best Picture winner in 2 years for Mutiny on the Bounty. But really Frank Lloyd, and it's interesting because we talked about Frank Capra for You Can't Take It With You, but these two Franks really were at the whole beginning foundational phase of Hollywood filmmaking. They really are. Mm-hmm. And Frank Lloyd himself is like really like one of the founders of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which I don't think we've explicitly said on this podcast, but when we say the Academy Awards, like that's the Academy. It's the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. And he was the founder and the president during this like 1934 period. So was this rigged for him to win Best Directing and for his film to win? Perhaps, because he was the president of the Academy. And so I'll do a bit of deeper dive. The only thing of note that I caught was that Frank Lloyd, as opposed to Frank Capra, who has a huge legacy, just highly recognized as being one of these like influential filmmakers, Frank Lloyd did not care to be in the spotlight and really doesn't like have the same sort of impact or legacy, despite the fact that he was clearly prolific during this time period. He's not really as regarded as, say, like a Frank Capra.
Yeah,
so.
a private king.
Mm-hmm. Like the guy who did Terms of Endearment, who wanted to stay out of the spotlight.
Right.
So, and you said, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, because I've never heard of him.
All right, well, let's talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 The 6th Academy Awards
Yes.
took place on March 16th in 1934. This was hosted by a man named Will Rogers, and he also presented all the awards this evening. So again, it's very low-key. I think the Academy Awards is still establishing itself. So really, Will Rogers was the MC of the entire night, and he was like a vaudeville performer, like very kind of prolific during this time period, doing all sorts of things. And however, though, tragically, he is going to die in a plane crash a year after the ceremony in 1935. So yeah, I thought that was kind of wild. So Will also is going to do some weird things though during this ceremony when he goes to reveal best directing, and there was only 3 men nominated for this category, 2 of them named Frank, because Frank Capra was also nominated. He opened the envelope and just said, "Get on up here, Frank." And Frank Capra went up there believing he had won.
Stop.
Just for Will Rogers to say, "Sorry, I meant the other
Oh
Frank."
my gosh. Is that in a video clip that you have? Or you just read about it?
No, I read about it, yeah.
Wow.
He later will then, because there was 3 nominees for every category except for Best Picture, but same for Best Actress, he called 2 of the 3 nominees women up on the stage, and in fact, neither of them had won, and it was the 3rd woman to win. And both the women who were called up believed that they had won in a tie, and he just called them up on stage just to tell them that, no, sorry.
Get on up here. Hey, you did not win. Wow.
I don't know if Will Rogers would have ever hosted again had he lived beyond 1935, but...
Did the Academy cause the plane crash? Like, get this man out of here.
Ooh.
We can never have him
Frank
here
Lloyd was
again.
so pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about this lesser half, because like I said, 3 nominees in every other category, but there were 10 movies nominated for Best Picture.
Is that like all the movies made in these 2 years? Damn.
Right. I know, it's very surprising. So the first one is 42nd Street. This is a musical. It had 2 nominations, 0 wins. Sorry to You, 42nd Street. And then the next one was A Farewell to Arms. This had 4 nominations and 2 wins. It wins in cinematography and in sound recording. And then this next movie, and I am not kidding, this is the title. It is called I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang.
Okay.
That's the full title, and it's exactly how it sounds. It's a man who is a fugitive from a chain gang. 3 nominations, 0 wins.
Wow.
Sorry to you, fugitive. Next was Lady for a Day. This was the one directed by Frank Capra, who believed he was going to win. Best directing this night, he does not, and neither does his film Lady for a Day, which did get 4 nominations, which 4 nominations was the most any film had, and it's really the last time that will ever happen. Or like that's the highest any one film will get. So from here on out,
Wow.
expect more than 4 nominations from a single film. The next film, we get an adaptation of Little Women, and I believe Janet Gaynor plays Jo, or one of the Little Women.
Wow.
It gets 3 nominations and 1 win. And I believe this was directed by the 3rd director, George Cukor, who we will talk about one day because he directed My Fair Lady. It does win in like best writing for an adaptation.
Oh,
so
cool.
The next movie is called The Private Life of Henry VIII, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It had 2 nominations and 1 win, which I did not write down what the 1 win was. The next movie, and this is what the title really is, it's She Done Him Wrong. 1 nomination, 0 wins. This had Mae West in it, and I know Mae West is like famous for that line of like, why don't you come up and see me sometime, or whatever. I don't think it's in this film, but I did catch that this starred Mae West. The next movie is called Smilin' Through. No G at the end of Smilin', but an apostrophe.
Wow.
And I just kept saying, keep smiling.
Keep shining.
Keep smiling. 1 nomination, 0 wins. Sorry to you, Smilin'. And then the last one is just called State Fair, and it's about the Iowa State Fair.
It is?
Yeah.
Why Iowa?
2 nominations, 0 wins. So sorry to you, Iowa. And Cavalcade has 4 nominations, 3 wins. So, of course, it wins in Best Picture. Frank Lloyd wins in Best Directing. And then it also wins in Art Direction. And then there was only a Best Actor and a Best Actress category at this Academy Awards. There was no supporting actor or actress. And I'll say the only acting nomination that Cavalcade got was for the woman who played Jane, which I did not write her name down. But she does not win. She does lose to Katharine Hepburn, who we have talked about already being the record holder.
Yes.
Of 4 Best Actress wins, and this is her very first one, and she was not present to accept it. So, queen behavior.
She couldn't care less about the Oscars.
Both the Best Actor winner and the Best Actress winner this night were not present to accept the award.
Wow.
And just a couple other things about this Academy. So this is really the last year where films considered to be nominated, and maybe why there's 10, is that it was considering the last 2 years of films. And in fact, there was a 17-month period between the 5th Academy Awards and the 6th Academy Awards, which is the longest period of consideration ever. And it also resulted in there being no Academy Awards in 1933.
Wow.
And after this year, that is over, and we will know it, what we still know it today, that it just is the previous calendar year is consideration when the ceremony takes place.
They said 10 Best Picture nominees. It's got to be stopped. And then nowadays we still have that many. So.
And then now there's, so many. And then Walt Disney is the first person ever to win consecutive Academy Awards. So he does win one for a cartoon short this evening. But again, it's the 6th Academy Award. So this is where, records are being established here anyways. But Walt Disney is the first one to win at back-to-back ceremonies. And
good job, Walt.
I think Walt Disney is one of the winningest people, period, from the Academy. And so that is very unsurprising there. So yeah, that was the 6th Academy Awards.
Cool.
I am curious, Carly, which actors you chose to find out more about here in Cavalcade.
Yeah.
I assume Jane.
So I looked into 4 of the actors, basically the 2 couples, the 2 main couples. I looked into those 4 actors. So the first one is Jane, apparently our lead role in this film somehow. The actress's name is Diana Wynyard, and similar to what you were saying with Walt, she is the first British lady ever nominated for an Oscar, which again, I was like, okay, but it's only the 6th one, but still, I'm sure there's been a lot of British women nominated, so it is cool that she was the very first, even if it is at the 6th. She was in a lot of stage stuff, so she's really more of a stage actress, but this was one of the movies that she did do, and the only other thing that I saw that was really notable was she was married to someone named Carol Reed for 4 years.
Oh, I know Carol.
And again, my first thought was, she's a lesbian. And then I was like, no, that name has tricked me before. And it is the director of one of our favorites, Oliver, Carol Reed, who, interestingly enough, wasn't nominated for an Oscar until 1968, I think, was Oliver, 30 some years later.
Carol?
Yeah. 35 years later,
I think that's right.
Her then husband is nominated. So it's just a big time gap,
Well, it's interesting too, because, and I'm assuming Carol Reed is English. I could be wrong about that. But just thinking about Oliver and again, just in terms of time and setting, I mean, Oliver takes place in the 1800s, so it's certainly earlier than Cavalcade. But yeah, just all the English sort of connections there is what I'm making in my mind.
And there's a lot of English movies that we've talked about. It's kind of nuts, right? For an American award ceremony. But so that's Diana. The next person was Robert Marriott, who was played by the actor Clive Brook, a huge silent actor. So basically that was his main thing, was being a silent actor. And it was funny, they were he then started to enter into the sound acting. So I was like, oh, I guess that would be different to be a silent actor and then to have lines and have to talk, that would be a transition. So it was and then he entered the world of sound acting, and I was like, okay, which now we just call acting. So he was in a ton of movies though. From 1920 to 1963, I think he was in almost 100 movies it said listed. So he was booked and busy. But I mean, if you don't have to learn lines, it's pretty easy to just show up and act, Well,
I was thinking in Cavalcade, I feel he barely said anything. I feel
totally. He was hardly even on screen. Yes. So I'm assuming that's what most of his roles were, is just to show up, be there, go home. Next is Alfred Bridges, or Drunken Alfred, played by Herbert Munden. The only thing that I really read about him that was interesting was throughout the movie, I thought that he looked older, right? Even when he was had this newborn baby, I was like, oh, he and his wife seemed like an older couple. I was like, oh, older people can have babies too. That's fine. But the first thing I read about this actor was he died at the age of 40 in a car accident. And I was like, wait, how old was he when he did this movie, right? Because I would guess he's at least 40. Right. He looked old. Maybe it was just the mustache, but he seemed really old to me.
Yeah.
He was only 35 when he did this movie. That kind of surprised me.
He died in a car crash, substitute car for horses. It's kind of similar.
Oh my God, you're right.
How his character died.
He was the driver this time, though. It wasn't his fault, according to Wikipedia. But I mean, what? They saw that in a newspaper clip or what?
Right, yeah.
So that's Herbert. May he rest in peace. And then the last person was Ellen Bridges, played by Una O'Connor. And she was kind of like a queen in Ireland, like beloved by a lot of people. It said that she was actually iconic for playing like a maid or a servant role, which was kind of funny. Like, I know, like typecast much. So they just always made her play a servant of some kind. And she was like a huge comedic actor. Like, she's known for her comedy. So I'm sure if we were to ever like dive into her work, we would see a lot of comedy films and a lot of like, you know, early slapstick kind of comedy. And you could kind of see that from like her face. She has like a funny, like comedic vibe to her.
Yeah.
She was reportedly down to almost no money. Like, she was almost completely broke before she was cast in the stage version of Cavalcade, which it was a stage performance before it was a movie. And so I guess the Hollywood people went to see the stage performance as they were writing the movie. And they said, and I quote, "We must have the Irish woman. That's obvious." So she was actually playing the role of Ellen on stage. And the Hollywood people went to see it and they were like, she has to be in the movie too. So she was just very good at her role of being Fanny's mom. And they wanted her to be in the movie. And it really shot her to stardom.
Yeah, I would say if I had to think about all the actors or performers, like Ellen's probably like my favorite, or the one I think was the best. Like, my favorite scene of all Cavalcade is this, like, that 1908 period where Alfred unfortunately gets ran over. But I think Ellen is like really good. And I think it's because it's the only scene that's not really about a historical event and it's just like characters knowing each other. But yeah, I think I do see that throughout Ellen, throughout the whole film, where like she did have these like really comedy like one-liners and these bits. And then, yeah, I really just felt like she was more fleshed out than Jane was, if I had to make a comparison. And
yeah, she almost seemed like more real than all the other characters. Like, I feel like all the other characters were almost like exaggerated versions of people, whereas Ellen was like more like normal, you know, down to earth, like a realistic character.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So yeah, so Una then became just a huge star. And in 2020, there was a list, some Ireland publication posted a list of greatest Irish film actors of all time, and she was number 19 on that list. So even in 2020, she continues to be a prolific Irish actor. Congratulations, Una. Right.
We'll take it.
Of all time, and still to be known like that. Like, she just continued to be in a lot of movies, and even though she probably was a maid or a servant in a lot of them, she left a lasting impression. And that is all I did. I looked in a little bit to the Fanny Bridges actress, but nothing of note. So yeah, that was really it. There wasn't a ton on all these people, I assume, because they were from so long ago, but enough to have enjoyed learning about them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carly, for doing your part.
Of course. It's the least I can do since I don't watch the movies.
As the one most passionate about Cavalcade,
yeah,
I enjoyed hearing you talk about it.
Thanks, Brad.
And seeing it from a different perspective. So, but that is Cavalcade, folks. We did it. We did the 6th Academy Award Best Picture.
Woo-hoo.
Well, let's cheers to the future. Let's pull old Jane and Robert here. Let's look to the future at what movie we will be doing next. And will it be as somber and sad and tragic as this film was? Will Titanic make a reference in this next movie? Can you imagine if it was Titanic?
Oh, I would just love. But it's okay. Every time we spin the wheel to decide what movie it is, I'm just sad at any movie that isn't Titanic. But that's okay. Someday it'll happen. But not this day. Yeah. So for our 16th episode, we are going to be covering
The French Connection.
The French Connection.
Not just any French Connection.
Nope.
It is The French Connection from 1971. This is the first time that Brad and Carly are heading to the 70s. So I'm looking forward to it, to seeing what this decade brings in terms of movies.
It says it's a neo-noir action thriller film, and I don't really think we've done one of those.
No, but it sounds fun and right up my alley. So, well, join us next time as we dive deep into The French Connection. And Carly, as always, love you.
Bye, Brad. Love you.